There's a strange story about from the Baal Shem Tov. Once the Baal Shem Tov had a pupil. The Baal Shem Tov had, there's different opinions how many pupils he had, but let's say he had 60 pupils. And one of those pupils, they were all geniuses and they were all amazingly talented people. But one of them somehow or other got exposed to sorcery, to be a sorcerer. I want to call it black magic, whatever they call it. So he became exposed to this. Now that's forbidden according to the Torah. You're not allowed to do that. But whatever is forbidden in the Torah is really appealing to some people. Not everybody likes to kill, but some people really do. And if the Torah wouldn't say not to do it, they would do it. The Torah is the only thing stopping them from killing or raping or murdering or stealing or idolatry or whatever. The Torah is the only thing that stops them. Well, this pupil, the only thing that's stopping him from worshiping, from being a sorcerer, from learning magic, was the Torah. And he had to fight an inner battle because he really was talented at this. He went to even a couple classes, or he went to knew where to go to learn this, and he was really very talented at it. And they said that he was going to be a great sorcerer, a great magician. We're not talking about being a performer, a magician, being a performer. That's sleight of hand, and they explain what they're doing beforehand so that everybody knows it's just a trick. This is actual black magic. Anyway, so he more and more he became drawn to the idea of being a successful, one-of-a-kind sorcerer. Instead of just being, maybe like number 60 among the pupils of the Baal Shem Tov, and even if he was number one, all of a sudden it started becoming so obvious that this Judaism was so boring. It was just black and white and doing all these rituals that didn't seem to have any results. And when he went to the sorcery school, he saw that you could, create fish, or you could, whatever you could do, you could make things happen. Anyway, he was by the Baal Shem Tov, and it was a Shabbat, and he decided, that's it. This is going to be my last Shabbat by the Baal Shem Tov. It was the Baal Shem Tov's synagogue was in the middle of this forest, and it was freezing cold over this in the Ukraine, freezing cold outside, and he was inside with all the other pupils, and the Baal Shem Tov they were all singing Shabbat, and they were singing together, and there was a fireplace going, keeping them warm from the cold outside. But suddenly he started becoming like really hot. He was sitting there thinking, I'm going to leave, I'm going to do Shabbat in the morning, I'm out, that's it. But suddenly he became, after Shabbat, Shabbat in the nighttime, after Shabbat finishes, I'm finishing also, I'm going. So suddenly became hot. It became really, really hot. Started fanning himself. It was all, he looked at the Baal Shem Tov, and he asked, could he take off his hat? He said, yeah, take off his hat. Took off his hat, opened up a couple buttons. Can I open up a couple buttons? He started fanning. He went to the Baal Shem Tov, asked if he could go outside for a couple of minutes. The Baal Shem Tov said, it's freezing cold outside. It's like 20 below zero. You can go outside, but not more than like 3 minutes, because it's very dangerous. I see that you're really suffering, but said, okay. So he goes outside, and he, opens the door, and it's cold, and he slams the door shut, and he's outside. In the first like 5 or 6 seconds, suddenly he feels good. He's cold. And then after about 10 seconds, it comes back again. The heat comes back. So he takes a little bit of snow and he rubs it on his foot. And that helped for another couple of seconds. Then it came back. So he opened up his shirt a little bit more. And then it got better. But then he opened up his shirt and started rubbing snow on his chest. And each time it would help, like for 5 seconds, 6 seconds. But he was just burning up. So he took off his boots and he started to run barefoot in the snow. And that helped. That worked. The cold wind was blowing by him, and he took the handfuls of snow and he rubbed it on himself, and he was just burning up with it. And he felt better when he was running. It felt better. And he fell down in the snow, and then it made him feel better. And then he got hot again, so he started running with the wind, and he fainted, passed out. He came to. He didn't know how long. Maybe it was a week later, or 2 days later. Doesn't know. He woke up and he opened up his eyes, and there was this old farmer and his wife looking at him. And they said to him in Ukrainian, who are you? Are you all right? Are you alive? Are you this? So he answered them back in Ukrainian, yes, I'm okay. I don't know. Who are you? Where are you from? And he didn't remember. He didn't remember anything. He didn't remember that he's a Jew. He didn't remember the Baal Shem Tov. He didn't remember anything whatsoever. He said, I don't know. How do you know how to speak? I remember. I don't know. I remember anything, but here I am. Anyway, it took him about a month to. They found him. They found him unconscious in the woods, and they brought him. They don't know how long he'd been laying there unconscious. So it took him about a month to get better. When he got better, so he started working. They had a farm over there, which was totally unworked. It hadn't been cultivated at all. So he started working on the farm, and he saw that all the other farms in the whole area, they hadn't been worked on at all. All of them were old people that once upon a time they were young and they were vibrant, but now they were old. So he plowed the fields and he worked and he had a crop and he sold the crop. And with that money that he had for the crop, so he bought land from the next door neighbors and he cultivated more. And then he brought workers in from outside. And they made more profit, and the neighbors were very happy to sell their lands. They stayed in their houses, they sold the land. So he owned hundreds of acres of land, and he was cultivating. This was about 7 years. So the owner of the house, the old man, said, listen, young man, you came here, you made us successful. I saw there's an advertisement I was in the town. I saw there's an advertisement. They need officers in the army. They think that there's going to be a war very soon with Poland or whatever they need. Well, maybe go in and try. You've wasted your time. Then to be a soldier was like the most honorable, amazing thing you could be. So he went into the town. He went into town and he went to the Army Academy and he got accepted and he excelled. He excelled in the Army Academy and they made him into an officer. Within 1 year, he was a lieutenant in the cavalry. And there was a big battle and he fought the battle and amazing victories that he had. And you could write a whole book about his bravery and his courage and how many people he killed and how much he saved. There was one battle that he went into that all of the officers above him were all killed, and he took the command and he made an amazing victory. He did all these war tactics and they surrounded the enemy and he took prisoners. Anyway, within no time, he became a general. It was 15 years after he left the Baal Shem Tov, and he was a general, and he had 10,000 horsemen under him, cavalry. And one day he was sitting in front of all of his great steed, in front of all these 10,000 warriors that he had, these 10,000 cavalrymen. And suddenly, all of a sudden, the whole thing came back to him. He remembered how he left the Baal Shem Tov and how that night was. And suddenly he realized what an amazing, lucky person he was that he left the Baal Shem Tov. And he said, now look at who he is. He's a big general. He's famous. He's got all this power. And if he would have stayed with the Baal Shem Tov, what would he be? Sitting in this little room learning the Torah. So suddenly he gets this idea and he says to his soldiers, everybody dismount. We're going to go on a march. We're going to march, a 3-day march. So everybody dismounts. And they come back with all their equipment and their swords and their whatever it is and their packs and their this, and they take a march, 3-day march, and they march. And at the end of the 3rd day, there they are. It's in the nighttime, and there's the Baal Shem Tov synagogue, just like it was when they left it 15 years ago. And he goes up to the Baal Shem, gets off of his horse, and he tells all of his before he gets off of his horse, he tells all of his soldiers, everyone light torches. And they all have torches. They all light their torches. Now everybody draw swords. They all draw swords. 10,000 people. They surround the Baal Shem Tov's. And he gets off his horse and he hears the people are singing inside, just like it was when he left 15 years ago. It's cold winter day, just like it was when he left. And he says, open the door for a general in the army of the Tsar or whatever it is, the king. So nothing happened, doesn't open the door. So he sticks his sword on the ground and starts pounding on open up the door, I'll break it in. The Baal Shem Tov opens up the door and he sees the Baal Shem Tov's holy face. And he says, Oi, I told you only to be out for 3 minutes. You've been out for 10 minutes. So what are you talking about 10 minutes? Look at my soldiers. Look what happens to a person who leaves. As he turns around, there was nothing there, just the wind blowing. And there was no sword, there was no horse. He was just standing barefoot in the snow like he was before he started running. Suddenly he realized that the Baal Shem Tov did the whole thing to him. He put the whole 15 years into his head. And he realized that the Baal Shem Tov and the Torah that he's learning is really the boss of the world and of success and all. And he returned to the Baal Shem Tov and became a loyal Chassid. Have a good Shabbat with Mashiach now.